You know, when you think about how wars start, you might imagine a slow, tense buildup, right? Declarations, rising tensions, while South America's deadliest conflict, the War of the Triple Alliance, it wasn't like that at all. It kicked off with a total shock, a surprise invasion on, of all things, a holy day, an attack that caught an entire nation completely off guard and set the stage for absolute chaos.
And the timing?
Oh, that was absolutely deliberate. It was April 14th, 1865. Good Friday, a day that's supposed to be all about peace and reflection across the Catholic world, right? But the Paraguayan army, under the command of their dictator Francisco Solano López, they had other plans. They completely shattered that peace, launching a full-blown attack on Argentina. It was an incredibly bold move, and truly, no one saw it coming.
And listen, this was not some small border skirmish. We are talking about a serious force here. 3,000 soldiers, led by a General Robles. They didn't sneak across a border either. No, they came in on steamships and landed right in the middle of Corrientes, a really strategic city in Argentina. So right from the get-go, they had a major foothold deep inside enemy territory.
Okay, so let's dig into what happened in those first few moments. Because the message the Paraguayans brought with them, well, it wasn't exactly what you'd expect from an invading army.
So General Robles gets in front of the people of Corrientes, who are probably in total shock, and he says this. He basically tells them, hey, we're not here to conquer you. We're here as brothers to liberate you from the big bosses down in Buenos Aires. It's a pretty brilliant bit of political spin, isn't it? The goal was clearly to get the locals on their side, or, at the very least, to make sure they didn't put up a fight.
But, actions speak louder than words. And pretty quickly, this whole liberation story started to fall apart. See, inside the city of Corrientes itself, the troops were on their best behavior. The people weren't harmed. But step outside the city limits, and it was a completely different story. The countryside was getting looted, livestock, horses, anything of value was seized. So you had this bizarre situation, a so-called peaceful occupation in the city, but pure plunder just a few miles away.
Okay, so taking a city is one thing, but the real challenge is controlling it. And it turns out the dictator López wasn't just making this up as he went along. Oh no, he had a whole political playbook ready to go, all designed to let him pull the strings from the shadows.
Yeah, this was all planned out. Step 1, take the city by force. Check. Step 2, set up a puppet government. He created something called a triumvirate, basically a 3-man committee of locals who were friendly to his cause. But here's the kicker. Step 3, the real power wasn't with them. It was with his own trusted guy, Jose Burgess. Burgess got his orders straight from López and then just told the triumvirate what to do. It was a textbook shadow government.
And to show you just how methodical this whole operation was, it wasn't just about soldiers in the streets. The Paraguayans went straight for the brains of the operation. They grabbed all the government archives. We're talking records, maps, intelligence, every single piece of paper, and shipped the whole lot back to their capital, Assumption. That's not just an occupation. That's an intelligence goldmine. They now knew everything about the province they controlled.
So, while all this is happening in Corrientes, word starts to spread to the rest of Argentina. And as you can imagine, it hit like an absolute bombshell. The country was in a state of shock, and then panic. A frantic scramble began to try and pull together some kind of defense and get people ready for a war they never saw coming.
And if you want to know just how serious this was, get a load of this. The governor of Corrientes, who had managed to escape, put out a decree. It said that any man between the ages of 16 and 60 who didn't sign up to fight right then and there would be considered a traitor, and the penalty for treason? Death. I mean, wow, that is not just asking for volunteers, that is pure desperation.
In a crisis like this, people look for a hero, right? And for Argentina, all eyes turn to one guy, General Justo José de Urquiza. This man was a legend, a brilliant military commander, a powerful political figure, basically the most important strongman in the provinces. Getting his support wasn't just a nice to have. It was seen as the only way Argentina could possibly fight back.
But this is where the story takes a really strange turn, because what Urquiza did next, or maybe what he didn't do, became one of the biggest mysteries of the entire war, and it would change everything.
At first, though, it seemed like he was going to be the hero everyone wanted. He made these big, bold public statements, promising to march with 10,000 men to save the people of Corrientes. And you can imagine, this was exactly what the country needed to hear. Hope surged. Everyone thought, okay, Urquiza's on it. A massive counterattack is just around the corner.
So, the big question was, would he actually do it?
Was this legendary general going to live up to the hype and be the savior Argentina was pinning all its hopes on?
He got his 10,000 men together. He started marching. He reached a little town called Basualdo. And then the army just vanished. Poof, gone. The men literally just packed up and went home. What happened? Was it some kind of protest? Did he secretly side with Paraguay? Honestly, historians are still arguing about it. But in that moment, for Argentina, the why didn't matter. The effect was catastrophic. Their one great hope was gone, just like that. So, with Urquiza's phantom army out of the picture, Argentina's defense was a mess. But they weren't completely out of the fight. Other Argentina forces, now with some help from their new allies, the Brazilians, decided they had to do something. So they cooked up a plan, a bold, risky, amphibious assault to try and take back Corrientes.
Okay, so it's May 25th, and the counterattack is on. You've got General Paunero leading the Allied force. He's got 2,000 soldiers landing from a fleet of 10 warships. And they're up against the Paraguayan garrison of about 1,500 men who, get this, only have 2 pieces of artillery to defend the whole city. Looking at the numbers, you'd think the Allies had this in the bag, right?
You know those old paintings of 19th century battles? All neat lines and organized charges? Yeah, this was not that. The battle for Corrientes was pure chaos. We're talking brutal, street-to-street, hand-to-hand fighting. The warships offshore were pounding the city, but once the soldiers hit the ground, it was just a savage, bloody brawl for every inch of the city.
And the price for that one day of fighting was just staggering. The Paraguayans took 400 casualties, killed and wounded. The Allies, 350. Now, those might not sound like huge numbers in the grand scheme of things, but for the size of the forces fighting, that is an absolutely brutal loss rate. It just shows you how incredibly vicious this fight was.
But here's the tough part. Even after all that fighting, all that bravery, the Allies couldn't hold the city. The very next day, they pulled out. They just left. And just like that, the Paraguayan flag went back up, and López's shadow government was back in business. The first big push to take back territory, it was a failure.
So where does that leave us? Well, it's a pretty grim picture. Argentina's best hope, their legendary general, is a no-show. The first bloody counterattack has failed, and the Paraguayan occupation looks more solid than ever. It is an absolutely chaotic start to a war that's only going to get worse. And it really makes you wonder, with alliances already crumbling and first blood drawn, how is this brutal conflict going to end up reshaping an entire continent?